Hi guys, it's Kiara, and actually today's video is going to be slightly different because for once, look at me, I don't have any tripods, still got my Dora the Explorer backpack, but behind the camera, ladies and gentlemen, we got David. It's a bit awkward when I'm trying to film and with my little tripod in the middle of the gym, so I thought why not get help from a professional like David. So actually really excited. But anyway, today's video is going to be about how to overcome plateaus. So how to get your glute session slightly spicier, more spicy or spicier. That's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be showing you a few tips and tricks on how to get your leg sessions to the next level. Let's go. Okay, so guys, we're at the gym today, and as I said before, we're going to be talking about how to overcome plateaus. In particular, obviously, we're going to be focusing on the broom dumbbell. Since we're here as well, as always, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, I'm not showing you any of the content anymore. Bye, see you later, okay? Please do it. Anyway, so let's just get straight into the video. So obviously, if you watch my previous videos, you will know that I always talk about progressive overload and how you have to aim at getting stronger over time, not just in terms of weight though, but also in terms of reps and sets. I want to show you something now. So let me just get a little setup with my hip thrust, and I want you to pick up on something. I'm going to make a mistake, okay? And I want you to pick up on it and see if you can really see what I'm doing wrong, okay? So we're going to do a little game, a little test, okay? Let me just set this up. Okay guys, just set up my hip thrust, and remember I want you to really pay attention to what I'm doing now, okay? So let's pretend that this is a really heavy weight, although you guys have seen that my heaviest weight has been 200 kilos, so obviously this is a demo, okay? But let's pretend it's a really heavy weight, okay? And a lot of people might get this confused because all they think about is lifting heavy when actually something else is a little bit more important. Let's see if you can see what I'm doing wrong here, okay? So just a quick demonstration, okay? There is something that I'm doing wrong. I feel like Dora the Explorer again, so can you guys tell? I'll do a couple of more reps just to show you. Again, let's pretend that this is the heaviest weight. It's really heavy for me, okay? What is it that I'm doing wrong? Dora the Explorer. Right, the range of motion is not great. So let me show you with no weight at all, okay? So that's how far I was going, okay? And that is me now performing full range of motion. So going all the way up, okay? But I'm not overextending my spine, okay? So it's literally the perfect height. So a lot of people, what they tend to do when they try and add a lot of weight, and it's something that I'm actually guilty of myself, is that yes, I want to add a lot of weight because I think that this way, that's the way my glutes are going to grow. But actually, because I'm not going all the way up, my muscles are not stretching and then shortening, completing the full range of the exercise itself. So it's actually really important to focus on the range of motion of the exercise rather than adding a lot of weight and then not being able to lift it properly, because that way you're not really pushing your muscles to the fullest potential and just really making the most out of the workout itself. So it's best to lower the weight and making sure that you get full range of motion with your exercises. Another thing, when people train for and they lift a lot of heavy stuff, which is something that I do and I incorporate to my training as well, you'll notice as well if you see my other full leg workouts that sometimes when I do my hip thrusts, I tend to do maybe 3-4 reps with really heavy loads, with a really heavy load. But the only issue with that is when you're doing low reps, so between 1 to 5 reps, you're not training for actual growth, you're training for strength, which is different, okay? So strength is obviously, as the words say, you're getting stronger at something, okay? So progressively you'll be getting better at getting stronger, you'll be able to lift heavier, which is ideal. However, for your muscles or for your glutes to really grow, you need to make sure at least you do 8 reps. So 8 reps is the minimum for growth. You have to have a combination of both really heavy lifts, but also moderate weight lifts, like they allow you at least to like lift 8 reps, okay? So that's really important. And remember, form is always key. Of course, when you're training for strength, like I've done it in the past, it's really hard to keep the form correct 100%, but it's important that you know that when you do that, you're improving your strength, not growth. So you need to separate those two things. So what I normally do for my training is I always start for the first set that I do. I start super heavy and I will work on my strength that way. And then the rest of the sets, I really decrease the weight dramatically and I just keep working on the growth of the bunda, okay? Because that's what we want, don't we? So that's one mistake that probably people maybe might be making, or maybe not. But then another thing that I like to do with my training, have you ever done a deload week, or have you ever heard of a deload week? Sometimes when you're always pushing to go heavy, you're really training hard, you're always using big weights. Yes, it's great, but sometimes you might be hitting a plateau, you might be hitting the wall, maybe you feel like you're not really growing anymore. Sometimes it's also good to include a deload week. I usually do that by doing this little break of me using really light weight for 1 week only, okay? And I'll do that every 6 weeks. So every 6 weeks, I will just stop and I'll have a break from like lifting really heavy, and I'll just literally just stick to high volume training, which means that I'm not lifting as heavy, but I'm doing a lot of reps, a lot of sets, okay? So I'll just give you a practical example with the hip thrust, because since we have it here. My heaviest hip thrust at the moment is 220 kilos. I can only do 3 reps, that's my personal best, okay? So 3 reps, we said, 3 reps only, that is strength, okay? Then I would lower it to 190, for example, and do 6 reps, that is still strength. Lower it again to 170 and do 15 reps, okay? That is glute growth, okay? And then lower it again, my lowest might be 130 maybe, or 140, and do 20 reps, okay? When I'm doing my deload week, I'm just starting directly from 130, okay? 120 even. Keep the weight really light. I don't do those massive weights, like 200, over 200 or anything. Keep it dramatically light from what I'm normally used to. And I would do a lot of reps though. I would do 20 reps, 5 sets, for example, of that. And same thing with any other exercise that I'm doing at the gym as well, okay? So that's really important. And then another thing, guys, are you actually pairing your food and your nutrition with your training, okay? So you might be feeling like you're training hard, but you might be thinking, why am I training so hard and I'm not growing? Because you're not probably eating enough, and that is key. Nutrition is probably 85% of your whole progress. It's really important that you make sure you keep on eating enough, and especially if you want to grow your bunda. I know you girls, I know that you're scared of eating, and I've been on a surplus, so look at me. I've got a bit of a belly over here, look, a bit of a food baby, and that's okay, because it won't last. I'm only focusing on a surplus at the moment, and then I'll be doing a cut. And literally that's me having my rolls. I don't mind, you know what I mean? It's just part of it. It's part of the surplus. It just comes with it, okay? So in order to be on a surplus, I always use MyFitnessPal, which is a free app. And I also follow a meal plan that is all on the calories are really high, so that allow me to be on a surplus, okay? And by the way, if you guys need help with that, online coaching link is in the description below, where all my clients are really doing the same thing. Whether you want to lose weight, for example, or you want to gain weight, I can help you with that. okay? So you can inquire, and online coaching is really one-to-one, so you get to speak to me even on a daily basis if you wanted to, and I create a plan that is always going to be different from anyone else. So I always create it based on what you like in terms of your food preferences, in terms of obviously your goals, because some people might want to lose weight, some people might want to gain weight, some people might want to do the same thing at the same time. So I really customize it to you. Yeah, so link in the description below. But yeah, so as I was saying, nutrition, really important. I always make sure I track my calories, I track my macros, and not just from Monday to Friday, okay? Because a lot of people tend to say, yeah, I'm really good, but then at the weekend I kind of do whatever. And that's where you're literally falling off track. You have to make sure you're as consistent as you can be. But even for a deficit, you can still enjoy chocolate, you can still enjoy pizza, as long as you track it. And that's why it's so important to track your food, to weight your food, which is something that I do on a daily basis for every single meal, for everything, even olive oil, even butter, things like that, they also contain, you'll be surprised how many calories they will have inside, peanut butter and all these things. You need to make sure you track everything, okay? But point number 4 now, I'm just going to show you a few exercises and a few ways that you can spice up your training as well. If you think that you're already doing the things that are listed above, just to make it a little bit harder, especially if you're a little bit more advanced and you feel like you get a little bit bored of the same exercise, you feel like your exercise are really not pushing you that much anymore. There are a few things that you can do to just spice it a little bit more, you know, spice it up a little bit more. Okay, so another thing, you guys, you must know that your glutes are composed of 3 different muscles, and we've spoken about this a little bit in other videos, okay? So your glutes, your bunda, so they're composed of 3 different muscles. We got the gluteus maximus, which is the bottom area, I would say, of your glutes, okay? So I won't really like show you, because then like I think like YouTube will flag me or something. So let's just leave it. So the bottom area of your glutes is like all the gluteus maximus, but it also has gluteus medius and minimus, which are on this side over here, okay? Actually, anatomically speaking, your glutes are not, they don't actually look like a peach. They actually look like a butterfly. That's actually the anatomy of your glutes, okay? So since there are 3 different muscles, you need to make sure that you do different exercises and you're actually targeting your glutes from all angles. But what kind of angles are we talking about? I'm here to actually enlighten you, okay? And just show you all the different angles, because it might be that you're not really pushing your glutes to their fullest potential if you're only hitting them from the same angle, or you're missing out on specific ones, okay? So first of all, because we're here already, you guys know I'm like a massive advocate of hip thrust, okay? And that is also the horizontal plane. So let me just show you, okay? You can already tell the bar is placed horizontally, so the weight is going to be horizontally placed on top of my body. See? Also, you can see the bar is placed horizontal. So any exercise like this, so it's things like hip thrust, glute bridges, you know what I'm talking about, glute bridges that you do them off the floor like that, in case you don't know. So same thing, weight on top of you, you're lifting the weight, frog jumps as well, okay? Same thing, all horizontal exercises, okay? So you need to make sure that you include one of these at least in your session, okay? Other plane, okay? Your glutes are also capable of something called external rotation, okay? So if we're talking about, for example, me standing up like this, and I'm doing this movement, okay? See what's happening? My leg is externally rotating, okay? This way, which is different from this movement, okay? The abduction movement, okay? So some exercises that include this external rotation are indeed thigh hydrants. And you guys know I always like to include them in my warm-ups all the time. If you don't know, you get to know by watching my last YouTube video when I basically showed the full leg workout that I do. So if you don't watch it, you're missing out, okay? So You know how I like to do my thigh hydrants? Always one elbow down, one other arm slightly bent. And I usually add a band as well, okay? So that's how I do it. Okay, nice and simple. That's external rotation, so make sure you include some exercise like that. So anything that will make your leg go this way, okay? Other plane that we're talking about, vertical plane. So let me just show you, I'm just gonna get rid of this, okay? Deadlift, for example, vertical plane exercise, okay? See how I'm moving the weight vertically. Same thing for a squat, for example. So let's say I've got the bar on top of my shoulders, okay? I'm moving the weight vertically, okay? That's another plane of like movement for your glutes, okay? Now, the thing is that you have to recognize that these kind of movements, so squats, deadlifts, good mornings, which are all vertical, by the way, okay? So you're moving the load vertically, okay? All these exercises, they all target the bottom area of your glutes, okay? So remember when we said your glutes are composed of 3 muscles? We're targeting all that area. So let's say someone is training at the gym, okay? They're pushing really hard, they're going really heavy, they're eating all the calories, but all they're doing is squatting, deadlifting, some lunges, for example, which are all great, by the way, all great exercises, but you're missing a few exercises and you're missing that area of your glutes. You're not really training the gluteus medius and minimus, okay? So something is really missing there. So it's important you actually do some exercises that target these little babies on this side. So we just came through my lovely cable machine, and what I normally do for this is the lateral hip abduction, well, the lateral abduction side kick that I like to do on the abduction machine. And then I just bring it down to the bottom, okay? And I just literally got this from Amazon. I can also put it in the description below if you prefer. Strap it around. And one thing with these kind of exercises, because we're only targeting a small muscle over here, we don't really need to go heavy, okay? Because it's only a tiny little muscle. So those exercises where you really want to be and go heavy are those little ones, those ones that I showed you before. So compound exercise like hip thrusts, squats, deadlifts, all these things. When we're doing isolation exercises like these, you don't have to go that heavy, okay? So really nice and simple. All you want to do, keep your core tight and just kick to the side, okay? Again, you want to keep this high rep, okay? Low weight. So really pushing on volume when it comes to these kind of exercises. But now I'm going to show you a few other things that you can do to your workouts. For example, just to spice them up a little bit that I said before. I told you that we could do a few things just to make your workouts look a little bit harder, okay? So just follow me and I'll show you what we can do. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Right, guys, so we're looking at some of the tricks that you can implement to your exercises to just make them look a little bit harder, just to, if you like, again, you hit that plateau, you can incorporate these kind of things. One thing that I've mentioned quite a lot actually already on my page, on my Instagram, is isometric training, okay? So isometric training basically happens when your muscles, so basically imagine your muscles that can stretch and also they contract, okay? So they stretch, they lengthen, and they shorten while you work out. So let's imagine, I always like make this example of the bicep, for example, okay? So while we're doing a bicep curl and I'm descending, the biceps will be lengthening here. The muscle will be lengthening, okay? So the muscle is stretching, okay? And when I bring it back up, the muscle is shortening, okay? Same thing when we do some leg exercises. The muscles will shorten and lengthen, okay? So let's imagine a squat now. I'm doing a squat now. At the bottom, the muscle is lengthening, okay? And at the top, it's shortening. So isometric training, you can apply it when your muscle is lengthening and you're really trying to squeeze, for example. So let's imagine I'm doing a squat, and at the bottom I'm holding the position there and I'm squeezing as hard as I can. So rather than squeezing at the top, that by the way is wrong, never squeeze at the top because it will cause you to overextend your spine. So rather, if you had to squeeze, I know it sounds weird, how can you squeeze at the bottom? But it's actually really try to contract your muscles as hard as you can for a couple of seconds, okay, while you're down the bottom. And you'll implement this by either doing consecutive reps that involve isometric holds, or you could mix them up a little bit with your normal ones. I recommend starting with mixing them up with your normal reps. I'll show you what I mean, okay? So, just getting the bar. Okay, I'm starting with normal reps, okay? So 1, 2, and on my third one, I'm gonna hold for 3 seconds and squeeze my glutes as hard as I can. 1, 2, 3. Back up again, normal reps. And then again, I'll pause and squeeze as hard as I can, okay? And keep going like that. Now, I could either do this, wait, it's kind of messy. Could either do this, or just do them consecutively, one rep after the other. So, I could do 1, 2, 3, come back up again, 1, 2, 3, etc. So you could implement this with any other exercise. Just bear in mind you have to do this when the muscle is lengthening, okay? Next tip is pulsating. That's another thing that could help you spice up your training. So since we're here already, I might as well show you by doing the squat, okay? So as the word say, you just literally pulsate, or just do partial reps after you do your normal one. So here's me just doing a normal one, okay? And then I come back, 1, 2, 3, I'm pulsing, and then up again. Then again, and then 1, 2, 3. Another thing, incorporate more unilateral exercises. What are unilateral exercises? Let me just give you an example. Unilateral is any single leg movement that you could do, okay? So, quick example with single leg deadlifts, okay? Nice and simple. See what I'm doing here? Went down and up. You could do that as a superset, okay? You could do that as a superset after your squats. And last point, guys. Volume is really important. I don't know why I'm doing this. My Italianness is coming out. Last point is obviously volume. Why? Because you might be doing too much. There is such thing called overtraining, okay, or undertraining. So for a beginner, I would recommend starting from 1 to 2 leg sessions a week, okay? So as a beginner, I would suggest doing 2 leg sessions a week. But volume means how many exercises are you doing? How many sets are you doing? How many reps are you doing overall in a week? It might be that you're doing too many. And if you're doing too many, you're still training hard, you are training hard, you're eating a lot. But if you're overtraining, you will not grow anymore. It's really important for you to understand the difference between getting enough sets and reps in and doing too many at the same time too. So just make sure you understand the difference. So let's say I come to the gym and I get really sore and I get in 4 leg sessions a week. I've heard people doing 4 leg sessions a week, which is fine if you're only doing a few exercises, but if you're doing 6 exercises, main exercises every time, you're squatting, you're deadlifting, you're hip thrusting, you're leg pressing, you're doing the cable exercises that I told you, and all of these things together in one session, and then you do that again 3 more times or 2 more times, and twice as many times as I'm telling you, you are overtraining. Those feelings of burning sensation, chasing soreness, please stop chasing soreness and that burning sensation. These are only feelings that are massively overrated, okay? I don't get sore all the time. You only get sore ideally when you're a beginner. So you're not used to training, and obviously start training, your body's not used to that stimulus. So that's why you get sore, because you're not used to training. But as someone that keeps going to the gym and you get upset if after a session you're not really that sore, please stop doing that, because it doesn't mean that you've wasted the session. How sore you are doesn't mean how hard you trained, and that's really important. And finally, last thing that I like to incorporate is supplements. Just because it's something that I use myself. I particularly use creatine. I take 1 scoop every single day from EHP Labs. Again, link in the description below to all my supplements, and also protein. I take protein just because protein is the building blocks of your muscle. If you're not consuming enough protein in your diet, okay, you will not be able to repair your muscles, because what happens when you're training, your muscles will tear, the fibers will tear, will break in a good way. So they can grow stronger and bigger and better. But if you're not feeding them with the right amount of food, the right protein, you will not grow, okay? So it's really important that you have enough protein in your diet. You don't have to drink protein shakes in order to make gains, but they're a supplement. They're there to help you. They're not there to replace all your food. You should be getting your protein from normal food. No meal replacements. I don't like people that just tell you, oh, just have a shake instead of lunch, like for lunch. No, okay, you can have it as a snack if you want, but I don't want you to just cut off your proper, healthy, nutritious food for supplements. Supplements are there to help you. They're like the cherry on top of the cake, if it makes sense. They're there to help you, not to replace anything, okay? So make sure you get your meals in, make sure you're on a calorie surplus, make sure you use, if you want to help you hit your macros goal, you can use protein shakes, and I also use creatine myself. I take 1 scoop every day because it helps me with recovery, and also it helps me give those instant bursts of energy for my reps and sets. But yeah, I think I've already covered everything pretty much. I hope you found this video useful. If you've got any more questions or any other content requests you want me to particularly talk about, let me know. Thank you, David, for the first video together. And yeah, I will speak to you very soon. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you very soon.